following preview has been rated good by the Good, the Bad, and the Weird podcast. Please check out the full episode when it releases on Sunday. It is 1930s Manchuria, and 3 dipshits in a desert, plus a gang, plus a Japanese army search for a long-lost treasure of the Qing dynasty. It's a race to the end in The Good, the Bad, the Weird. I'm Nico.
And I'm Chris.
Welcome to episode 100 preview.
Yeah.
Been a long road, and finally we have decided to cover the namesake of the podcast, The Good, the Bad, the Weird.
A movie that, honestly, we hadn't seen when we started this adventure, but
Nope.
now we love dearly.
To be fair, I think I actually owned it in my backlog, but I hadn't gotten to it yet.
We knew of it. We knew about it, but we
Yeah.
hadn't studied it.
No.
And now that we have gone through and watched it a good handful of times, it is going into my catalog of favorites.
Same here. I mean, it's a weird combination of movie styles that just works. Kind of like in a different way of like how when we covered Sukiyaki Western Django, that was such a weird outlier from everything else. The Good, the Bad, the Weird has its historical context and is overall just entertaining from beginning to end.
And honestly, a really good interpretation of a Western.
Yeah.
Like, it has all of the features that I love of Westerns, where it's got some kooky characters, it's got an over-the-top plot, gunfighting out the wazoo, we've got a train scene, we've got horseback riding, but instead of having boring dialogue, we've got nonstop action, and
Yeah.
now you have to pick between hot bad guy, hot good guy, and fun, quirky, weird guy.
Interesting but attractive.
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
a charm.
For those who don't know, the guy who plays the weird is the dad from Parasite, and also we covered him in The Host.
Yes.
He's also the dad in The Host.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie just does everything right.
It really does.
I think like we talked about it is the action, because there's so much of it, it makes the dialogue that much more important instead of having like, it's like when you're reading a wall of text instead of a brief summary.
Yes. And exactly, Charlie. The dialogue that does end up like becoming important is not just like one-off quick dialogue. It's dialogue that later on when you like think back on it, you're like, oh, that was a hint and I
Yeah.
wasn't paying attention.
No, exactly. And there's just so much little things that pay off the more you pay attention to the movie. And
Definitely.
probably more even, I mean, we've watched it a handful of times. I'm sure there's still more out there that we'd easily miss.
Definitely. Especially with how clever the camera angling is and how smart the dialogue and the acting is. On top of that, really like how all of these storylines line up together really smoothly so that we're not following one person around and then having to jump back to a different person. All of these characters and interactions flow together really seamlessly. It makes it for a really pleasant watching.
Yeah. And everything, for the most part, is practical effects.
Which makes this movie look really good, despite it coming out in, 2009?
Yeah, 2009.
Yeah, so
I think.
Yeah, this movie looks amazing, which is pretty impressive for a movie that is with a lot of motorcycles, horseback riding, trains, and gunfighting. A lot of those things get changed out, especially because this is a fairly bloody movie. Not super gory, but like they don't shy away from having like a blood splatter or torn and ripped clothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not cut down by any means.
Sorry, correction, 2008.
Okay, even more impressive.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, it's just one of those ones where it feels in line, not as clever, but still tangential to like how Tarantino takes the genre he loves and then plays off of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's one of those movies that parrots the standard Western tropes in an interesting way that we don't see in American Western adaptations besides, say, Django Unchained, I'd say.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like even though it is definitely...
Or, sorry, Bone Tomahawk as well.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely see what you mean.
Yeah.
I also really like that while it is definitely playing off of those tropes, it does so in such a genuine way that you kind of forget you're watching a remake or like a new version of it. It feels so authentic and so genuine. There's clearly a ton of passion behind it, and it shows.
Yeah. No, there's just... It feels like everyone put their heart and soul into making this movie, and they did a fantastic job. It's honestly one of the I don't know anyone outside of us knowing this movie before starting the podcast that has known about this movie.
No, but like even if westerns aren't your thing, the action in this film is so engaging.
Yes.
And the three main characters offer three different types of badass / interest to watch throughout the whole thing. It's not like you're focused on one solely for more than any of the others.
Mhm.
Everyone's in it quite a lot, which adds a really nice layer to like entertain yourself with, because the first time you watch it, you might watch it with just watching the weird, or you might just watch the good, and then the next time you can watch the bad. It makes it for a really fun experience.
Yeah, it definitely has layers for
like onions.
Yes, for a very tired genre that I'd say is still even tired by today's standards.
No, it definitely is, and honestly, this movie kind of almost breathes a fresh breath into it. It kind of makes me want to go back and like revisit some of the old westerns that I love. Because, it's easy to get bored of the genre. It
makes me curious about Korean westerns because I didn't know that was really a thing until doing research for this.
Definitely. I would be super interested in finding out if there's more like this one, because this was great. I had an awesome time.
From seeing the one movie Break the Chain, not as good, but still, I think you'd still like it. It's still entertaining enough.
Fair, which I'll take.
Yeah. It's got a special spot in our hearts, even though we didn't know about it before starting this whole journey.
That's true, but now I'm going to make every single person I know watch it relentlessly, so
exactly.
Get ready, friends.
But anyway, this has been the Good, the Bad, and the Weird previews.
Check out the full episode.
Peace.